new transmission. Got some brand new Gates belts. Got a new impeller kit. I deleted the hot water heater. Moving along. Alright, we're making 2 more cradles here for the motors out of the parts boat. Here's mine. Alright, here's our dyno. It's all set up, ready to go. There's our fuel cell. That goes to the fuel pump. We've got the water coming in, backside of the impeller housing. Here's our water muffler, all ready to go. Here's the fresh gel coat in the bilge. I just cleaned up all the mold release off of it. And yeah, now it's time to put in the waste tank, the batteries, put the water muffler back in, and we'll be good to go. Here's the repaired and sandblasted and cleaned up rudders off the parts boat. I'll be using these here as a pair from the parts boat on the project boat. So I'll go ahead and slide the other rudder up in there, and I'll probably place wood up against them until I get it all secured. It's what you've always wanted. A whole tank with poop.
Dave, you know me so well.
Alright, today's the first nice day we've had in a long time. It's nice enough to lay down some gel. So I've got some MEKP, methyl ethyl ketone peroxide. That's how you activate gel coat. And then in this right here, this is a little bit of my gel coat that these guys here mixed up for me and matched the original color. I got some acetone, some rags, so I'm going to go down here, start wiping things down, vacuuming, get everything cleanly and ready to go. I got to get this sanitation line out of here, pull that back into the aft cabin, and then I got to seal up some holes that the previous owner drilled in the firewall or the bulkhead, because right now there's exposed coring and I don't want that to rot, so I'll clean that up and put gel coat on it. Here's my new Dometic all-in-one system. It's only 15 gallons, but for us, we go out to our boat club and there's facilities out there, so I think 15 gallons will last us just fine. And it's very easy. You just give it the 12 volts and in and out, 1.5 inch lines in, 1.5 inch out. There's your vent right there with the charcoal filter, and it's just a nice little system here. It makes it really easy. I was never quite happy with the coverage here, so I re-prepped all this. I'm going to do a second coat, and I've been prepping everything else and wiping it down with acetone, getting it ready, and make sure there's no petroleum products anywhere. But yeah, lots of scuffing, lots of wiping with acetone, and yeah, start laying down some gel here soon. Alright, here goes nothing. We're going to activate this and start laying it down. And after we activate this and lay it down, we're going to go over the top of it after it starts to shell off with this. These are Prevail sprayers with what we call green seal. This is like a mold release. You don't want air getting to it when it's hardening. So once you come back in a day or two, you can take that green seal off and you'll have a nice hard surface. Alright, I laid it down, and it's pretty hot today, so the cup started to kick about probably 80% of the way through, so I had to rush the last 20% to get it down. I got pretty decent coverage over some areas where there was exposed like bare glass, so I'll let it shell off and then I'll hit it with the green seal, and then from there I got to start re-rigging, so I'll get all this stuff out of the way, like the batteries, and this wiring harness can go back to where it was, and we'll start on all that again. Alright, the Prevail sprayers weren't working so good, so I started brushing that green seal over the top after the gel coat shelled off. It was about probably 35-45 minutes after I laid it down. It had a nice shell on top, so it wasn't like I was just smearing it around. And so I got a little bit of green seal here. It puddled in a few spots, obviously, but I was able to brush it around. So it's on there pretty good. Tomorrow, once this is hardened, you just come in with some water and maybe some soap and water, and it comes off. And then it leaves you with a rock hard surface. Alright, it's been 48 hours. Time to wash off all that green seal and see what I'm left with. Alright, so I've got this line run again. It comes up, a nice little zip tie right there with the eyelet on it. Put white sealant on all of the screws as I ran them in. Cut all these hoses to length. There's the outbound. And then there's the vent. Got Zip ties on everything, trying to hold it nicely. Alright, that's one thing rigged. I started putting the harnesses back where they go, and again, dabbing sealant on all the screws, and I got a whole pack of these giant cable ties with the eyelet in it. I gotta go around the whole bilge and replace a lot of them because they were dry rotted and snapping. So yeah, you can see the new gel coat. So all right, we're working on the engine strainers now. Getting these all dialed in, getting ready to re-rig the bilge for the new motors that are coming. There's the strainer we just rebuilt the other day with about $18 in hose and about another $18 in clamps. I sprung with the guy at West Marine called the Cadillac of hose clamps. But when it comes to your raw water intakes, you can't really mess around. Alright, I've been wiring up the underwater lights all day today. You can see the white wire here. That's the 18 gauge like safety wire from West Marine. There's the outboard one. I kind of followed the same path that Sea Ray did. Put in the other light today, and then there's a drain plug light that comes up and joins this harness. So the next thing I need to do is place the water muffler, because the placement of the water muffler will dictate where I put this board. Alright, so both of these blowers are making screeching noises, so I'm gonna replace those while I'm in here. And there's some seriously messed up wiring going on down there, so I gotta figure all that out too. So that's the fun I'm having. Alright, I got the new underwater light panel mounted over there, and just been straightening up wiring. I had to rewire the bilge pumps because they were like wire nuts and probably 2 pumps worth of old wire, and it just had to all be redone. Tomorrow I gotta go through this. That pump right there pumps out the water from the air conditioners, the condensation, and it sends it out the side of the boat. So that needs to get redone, and then just keep cleaning. And then I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the gel coat on the rest of the bilge, and we'll see what happens with that. It's just it's a lot of work to unrig everything and then re-rig it, so we'll see what happens. Alright, I got the Sea Star hydraulic steering off the parts boat, and I've been kind of cleaning it up with the brass wheel. This crossbar had rust on it, and I sanded that all smooth, so now I'm going to go into West and grab some paint for that, tape all this off so paint doesn't get on that, and it'll be ready to start installing in the boat. Alright, we got a coat down of the Mercruiser Phantom Black. Who knows if that's the best thing for this job, but I like it. Alright, there's the cleaned up rudder supports back in place. This is the one off the parts boat. It's got the rudder position sensor on it. Just gonna putting stuff back together now. Alright, so here's the Gen 5s that I'm going to end up using in the boat. These came out of my parts boat, and I ended up selling the Gen 4s out of the boat that we're rebuilding. For whatever reason, this one engine here has mismatched exhaust manifolds. We've got 3 of these Aqua Powers, which have like a individual runner design, which is pretty cool, like a 8.1 Merc. And it's got these bigger risers on it that you normally get on a 7.4. You can see the water only comes out through here. On a normal Merc riser, water can come in through here and from here. So they, you know, it might sound a little different than a normal big block, but no one's really gonna notice. But anyways, we had 3 of these, and for whatever reason, this one engine here had one stock manifold on one side, but all 4 risers matched. So what we're doing today is I'm pulling this riser off. I just unbolted it, and we're gonna swap it out to a brand new Aqua Power matching manifold that came in the mail. And I got all new gaskets and everything, clean everything up and put it back together.
Shout out to Phil.
Yeah, shout out Phil, Michigan Motors. Took good care of me on the gaskets. Well, here's what I mean about the individual runners. And they're not long runners per se, but they are individual, which is a little better for flow. An engine doesn't like to have all the exhaust pulses just mixing all together. So in here you can see, well, maybe you can't really see it, but they just kind of pulse right into the big opening here, into like a large plenum. And again, it's a very minor difference, but it is better to have these runners here. That's why they call it semi-tuned. It's not like a header where you have individual runners and they come into a collector, but definitely a better design than I would have had from the factory on a 7.4 Gen 5. All right, so we discovered this bracket here for the front accessories was cracked, and we don't know how that happened. So we got the TIG welder fired up over here, and it's gonna get it fixed. Nope. Tigged, as it were.
Hiya.
So TC has these extra long bolts here. So then you put them through the manifold, and then you drop your gasket in because it's slotted on each end, and then boom, you just slide it up and put your bolts in. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, we got the known good transmission here, which is much newer than the engines, and the Gen 5s that we have determined have been rebuilt somewhat recently. I got a brand new damper plate right there. Shout out Phil from Michigan Motors. And we're going to marry these two together and then clean the engine up a little bit, and these should be ready to go home. All right, we're going to go ahead and roll this Gen 5 over that we plan on using in the boat. We added a blue vacuum line for more horsepower. But that's the first carburetor rebuilt. Ready to rock. Okay, Mike's here to move the boat over to the other yard, over near the hoist, so we're progressing. The reason we're moving is so that the high-low can get the engines up over the stern, and there's no reason to just keep it on the trailer that whole time while we're doing all that. So we're gonna actually just move me right over across the street, over near the hoist. So let's go.